Right, guys, this is a weird one. And this is me going full tinfoil hat here. Conspiracy theory, the lot. I don't mean any hate or disrespect or anything. Like I said, I'm just going full tinfoil hat because I've seen this happen in a few games and it always backfires and goes tits up pretty damn quick. And originally, I didn't connect the dots until I made the thumbnail for my Lengmo video, and I was like, I wonder what Lengmo even is. Like, I've never heard of it. Like, what the hell is Lengmo? So I looked it up and bloody bloody blah. And then suddenly, there were two very, very large dots, and I was like, I've seen this happen before, and it went tits up bloody quick. And that is, quite simply, if we look at this weapon, I don't think it'd be a stretch to say that it's clearly Chinese themed. This is clearly a Chinese dragon. Got the head, like the art styling. Can we even zoom in a little bit? We can zoom in a bit. Like the art styling and then the tail. This is clearly a Chinese styling. Kind of fits the theme of the talent of the LMG, which is what I was originally thinking. I wasn't going tinfoil hat at this point. I'm just like, oh, it shoots fire. It heats up and then it shoots fire. Dragon. Kind of makes sense. But then I looked into, like I said, what Lengmo is. And this is kind of where it got a little bit, at least for me, strange. So, this word is Lengmo. Yeah. Right there, there's the characters.
冷
And
漠，冷漠，
it is a full Chinese word, and it means impassive, emotionless, unconcerned. Tinfoil hat, like I said. Now, this wouldn't be too much of a problem. They might just be having a Chinese theme. 1 year ago, basically a year ago today, it happened on the 7th of September 2022. It's the 10th of September 2023. Tencent, the Chinese gaming company, bought 49.9% of the stock, the shares of Ubisoft. This is pretty much where the majority of the funding for Ubisoft, massive entertainment, it gets leaked down into all the subsidiaries. Now, as much as this is kind of good news for us as the gamer, because there's a huge cash injection, it was basically 300 million euros. I think in dollars, it's $293 million. And Tencent are pretty sketchy about releasing their profits. I do know that in 2022, thanks to Genshin Impact, they earned an extra 13 billion on top of what they were already earning. So if they were typically earning 10 billion on that particular in 2022, they earned 23. It was absolutely nuts with Genshin. So they clearly have the money. The problem is pretty much all of Tencent's ideology is fuck the gamer, we want money, which is kind of a big problem. Now, we saw this in Warframe when I've forgotten what they're called. I want to say EA, but it's not DE, Digital Extremes. When they were having funding issues with Warframe and a few other things, Tencent bailed them out. As a gaming community, we were quite happy with this. We got to play one of our favourite games. At the time, I was knee-deep into Warframe. However, the moment it happened, we got hit with Nezha, or Nezha, however you want to pronounce it, Warframe, Chinese themed. We got a bunch of Chinese themed stuff. The in-game items and the cat shop and the microtransaction, they all went up 15%. It wasn't a lot, but everything went up. Overall prices went up, and that is when a lot of players went, I'm out. In more recent times, I'm a huge Warhammer 40k fan. Darktide, Warhammer 40k Darktide. Very excited for this. It was made by Fat Shark. Fat Shark did a very good job with Vermintide and Vermintide 2. a lot of players were looking forward to this. Even if you weren't a Warhammer 40k fan, it was essentially a Vermintide themed game set in the Warhammer 40k universe. People were excited. However, 6 months before Dark Tide came out, Fat Shark was bought out by Tencent. The game was a piece of shit. It was laggy, it didn't work, it was poorly optimized. The only thing that worked was the cash shop for the microtransactions. That was it. Now, like I said, tinfoil hat, because this potentially did, I don't know, maybe like one of the creative directors at Massive Entertainment is originally from China, and it was like their 40th birthday or 10-year anniversary of working in the company, and they wanted to do like a little present and implement something into the game that would last a while. And I don't know, like I said, like this is pure tinfoil hat. However, when it comes to Massive Entertainment's news, not a lot really goes on. We're able to look at them through Crunchbase and we can get email addresses, etc., etc. But when it comes to their actual news, like in terms of like their activity, they were given the Avatar game, the creative director or the managing director changed from being David Polfelt and it's now Thomas Anderen. That's like their biggest news in like the past 5 years. Their managing director changed. That's it. Other than that, they've recently, this is like this year, I believe it was like 3 days ago, they're working with Pain Drainer, which is a tech company trying to improve like health relations. Pain Drainer AB is a company developing digital platforms and applications contributing to health and well-being. Blah, 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 blah. How they're doing this, I'm not too sure. I can't be bothered looking into it. But when it comes to like Massive Entertainment in terms of news, there's not a lot. There's nothing really. So like I said, like there's no evidence to support this, but I've seen like similar things creep up in other games. And to start off with, I mean, like you got Lengmo, Lengmo. Like, there's no real signs. I mean, of anything going awry. But typically when things like this happen, it's small steps. There'll be a huge cash injection into the game. We get a lot of cool and shiny stuff, brings in new players or returns some players. And then suddenly your game just becomes subscription-based and pay to win. And you're like, So I'm not saying that's going to happen, but there's a few signs already popping up. And like I said, tinfoil hat, pure conspiracy. But just having a weapon that is Chinese themed and then a gear set that is literally a Chinese word is kind of a red flag, especially in the gaming industry. Simply just because Tencent love throwing their weight around. They have the capability to buy out a lot of smaller companies, especially when they're struggling. And at this point, we all know that Ubisoft is struggling. Let's face it. So they're able to buy out and keep some of these things afloat, but then they have this massive influence over that company as well. Now, I'm not hating on Tencent because they're Chinese or anything. It's just their overall practice. It's pretty shady, it's pretty shitty, and they have been the death of a good few games simply just because of the pressure they put on the company. You might actually find that Ubisoft and Massive Entertainment are actually all lovely people and they really, really do want to help and support the gamers. But Tencent are there just going, no, push more content out. Doesn't have to be good, just push content out and add a load of microtransactions to it. Because that's literally all they care about. And from the digging I did with Fat Shark, when it comes to Dark Tide, the Warhammer 40k Dark Tide, their original plan, Fat Shark, was to actually delay the release by another 4 months so they could work on some of the issues that they knew were in the game. But Tencent made them release it. Basically, they gave like a very fixed release date and there was nothing Fat Shark could do to delay it. They had to release it. Otherwise, Tencent would have pulled their funding, which basically would have put hundreds of people out of a job. So, yeah, Tencent are just shit. And yeah, like I said, this could just be pure tinfoil hat. But if it's not tinfoil hat, this could very much be the beginning of the end, which is kind of a shame. Yeah. Anyway, tinfoil hat over. Toodles.